Everyone grab your seats, grab your seats. All right, good morning. How's everyone doing? Good, thank you all for joining us. This is our first training for the year, so what a way to open it. Good to see some familiar faces, but also some new people as well. Before we get started into today's content, and for those who haven't been to one of our trainings before, I'll run you through the format of how these days usually plan out. Who hasn't been to this venue before? We'll put our hand up, neither have we, okay? So we've got bathrooms up the back, okay? Please feel free to use them. You don't have to put your hand up. We're all adults, you can use them at your leisure. Water up the back. If there is an emergency by any way, we will have to just vacate this door and just head downstairs, but I'm sure we'll be fine. As you can see, we've got our cameraman, Adrian, up the back. Please be mindful of the cameras. Please don't knock them over because they look really expensive, okay? We will be recording this footage because we do make DVDs and training programs for students as well. If by some chance you're not meant to be here today, like you've taken a sick day off work or something, stay up the back because we are going to use the footage at our own leisure. But also as well, when we do demonstrations, I'll be calling for volunteers. If you're not meant to be here, probably don't volunteer because I don't want to have to put one of those pixelated things on your face. Probably wouldn't look too good, but just bear that in mind as well. The way these days normally run out is we're going to look at some theory and then a lot of demonstrations, a lot of practice time for you guys. So for those who haven't been here before, just pop your hand up just so I know who you are. That's a fair few. Excellent, so welcome. Out of curiosity, who has never been to a hypnosis training before? Okay, I need two. Okay, so welcome. Who's done some sort of maybe conversation hypnosis, NLP, coaching, something like that before? Yep, excellent. Okay, so the program I'm going to run through today is conversational hypnosis. We're not going to use scripts or anything like that. What we're basically going to be looking at is a few different unique points about hypnosis based around one subject, i.e. one type of induction. Okay, we only have a day to do this. For those who have been to our training courses before, you know we put a lot of content into these courses. We can only afford to put 1 day worth of content, and we've got something new for even the people that have been here before for you to learn and take away as well. Okay. When we do the demonstrations, when you guys are working with each other and volunteers, please be mindful of the people you're working with, okay? I'll be here to instruct you and keep everybody safe, but be friendly to people, okay? We've had some nasty incidents of some nasty hypnotherapists in the past. We want to make sure we're friendly with everyone and looking out for each other. When you're walking around the room, what I suggest you do when we spread you guys out a bit, please just put your bags and stuff just away from the chairs. We've had people fall over, fall downstairs, break arms, hurt themselves before. We don't want that, okay? So I want to keep you guys nice and safe. So the best place for us to begin, for those who don't know me, I'm the owner of the company. I've been a therapist for, it will be 18 years this year. I've seen close to 7,000 clients. So my goal here today is just to show you the way that I do stuff. It's not to say it's the right way or the wrong way. I'm just going to show you a unique technique that I would definitely rely on when I was working with quote unquote more resistant clients. People that maybe didn't believe in hypnosis, didn't understand the power of it, or that were a little bit difficult to work with. Who here has actually seen clients before, maybe had a paid session or formally seen somebody? Excellent. So you might have come across those people that I'm talking about. It seems that some people, as soon as they come to your office and sit down, you can do whatever. They're ready to go and they follow along with quote unquote your instructions. But there's other people who you know just aren't following. They're either not listening, they've got questions, they're resistant, there's something going on inside of them that makes them feel not as hypnotic as the rest of the subjects you work with, okay? So when it comes to conversation hypnosis, there's very many ways to look at it, okay? What I want to look at today is language patterns. We're not going to spend a whole day learning language patterns and learning the right format, the right sequence, where do I put this word, what's the best Ericksonian line here, how do I add confusion, because that becomes irrelevant when we understand the principles of how language patterns work. So the premise I want to work with is start off with this question, and hopefully throughout the day we get to answer it. Who's used language patterns before? Okay, for those who don't know what a language pattern is basically the foundation of what conversational hypnosis is. It's your ability to be able to flow with language, Okay, it's your ability to say certain things that have more of a hypnotic effect or more of a confusing effect for certain things that you need to work with your client. So as hypnotists, we spend a lot of time working on our language patterns. We spend a lot of time trying to find the right words, the right lingo. We try and piece all these fabulous sentences together. Who's been stuck doing that before? Who's gone onto the internet and looked for the best language patterns? We've all done it. So my question is, why is it sometimes that these language patterns or these strategies work with some clients and not for others? Wouldn't that be worth investigating? So instead of spending hours and hours and weeks and months trying to find the best language you can have to sound all mysterious and hypnotic, why don't we work out how all language patterns work, and then we can just say anything. And it has the same effect of those language patterns you put so much time and effort into trying to research. Wouldn't that be a better idea for us? So essentially what we want to do is to be able to say anything and have that have a hypnotic effect. There'd be no use for language patterns then, because we wouldn't need them, because we understand the principles of it. Does that make sense so far? So what I want us to do in our groups, and during this group little exercise, just move your stuff to the side. Please be careful when you're walking around. In groups of, let's say, 4 or 5, 6 I'm happy with, as long as you're not talking to yourself, we're good. I want you to discuss that question. Why is it that language patterns work with some people, and why do they fail miserably with other people? Has anyone had that experience before? You get a client in, and it's what you just look at this client and they're in trance. And everything you say just comes out so perfectly, the formation's correct, you're getting unconscious moments, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is brilliant. I'm fantastic at this, I'm on fire. Client leaves having a wonderful experience. Then your next client comes in, you say the very same things, and they look at you and go, nope, not working. So what do? You try harder. You dig deeper into your language bag, you pull out all these fancy patterns, you look at them more intently, you might do some hypnotic tricks with them, and the more you try, the more resistant they come. And you're sitting there with someone who now has lost faith in hypnosis, and you as a hypnotist are sitting there sweating, wondering what the hell just happened? Why isn't this person going into trance when my last person, I couldn't keep them out of it? Has anyone had that experience before? So we're going to investigate this today, and I want to show you how to get around that every time. Okay? So in your groups of 4s, 5s, 6s, if you will, let's come up with some assumptions of why we think this happens. Why is this a common phenomena? Okay, not just in this group, I would say in the whole industry as well. So let's spend a couple of minutes doing this. Essentially what I want to do from that little chat is work out what are our thoughts around language patterns, because we understand where we all are as a group. We can destroy the biggest mistakes you're making, and also that I made when I was very young. Okay, so why is it that some of our language patterns stick and have a hypnotic effect, which is the goal of a language pattern, and why do some fail miserably? What are our thoughts? What do we think?
I reckon you'd be okay if you haven't matched and got rapport properly. You could be speaking to them in a kin setting where they're an auditory.
Excellent.
And that's where it comes unstuck. Mm-hmm. You haven't matched their language.
Yep, so when you're not matching their reality, if they're more visual, you're not visual. Absolutely, who would agree with that? Yeah, 100%. Anyone else? Yes?
Fear.
Oh, from the client or you?
Everything.
Thank you. Yeah, what are you going to do to me? Who's had a client like that before? That's been shaking, scared, just even entering your office, who wouldn't even look at you. Anyone had those clients before? If you haven't, expect them. The more clients you get, the more of these, I shouldn't say weird because it's the wrong word, different type of clients going to come and see you, and that's what you should be prepared for. Okay? So we got fear, we got different reality matching. What else?
It's secondary gain. People might think, okay, I'll go to a hypnotherapist and have this, and when they're actually there, they think, oh shit, this is going to work.
Yes.
I need that.
Yeah. That's me, that's who makes me. So the leverage and motivation is not there. Okay, yes, Greg?
Rapport.
Yep, rapport. In what way? Give me a bit more on that. What way would you use rapport? Being a therapist, what way do you go about it?
Well, there's multiple levels, but first having a little bit of small talk.
Sure.
Just helping them feel comfortable.
Yes.
Explaining to a degree hypnosis and letting them know that they're safe, that everything's okay, and just
sure.
And like what Jansen there was saying, just kind of using VAC, using mirror matching and that
Sure.
sort of thing.
Yep. Would you agree, hopefully I can add to this, jumping in too quick.
Yeah.
Clients come in and you go automatic hypnotic. You look at people and you get all weird and crazy. They're not ready for that, especially if they're scared or there's no rapport. You become too hypnotic too quickly. Who wouldn't resist? Has anyone met, maybe in a social circle or social gathering, someone really, really out there? Never met this person before, but the subjects they talk about or the way they talk about themselves or the way they view the world is so left field from what you view. Has anyone met one of those people before? And what do you feel about that person? Well, they're a bit strange. They're a bit weird, and they're very hard to connect with, right? So we've got to look at this as well. Hypnosis is supposed to be a little bit unusual and weird, especially when we put our hypnotic attitude into it. And if we do that too quickly, of course our client's going to push away, and they've got every right to, because we've been doing it our whole life with those weird people as well. Okay? What else do we think? These are great ideas. What else?
I was thinking in the respect of rapport is the energetics between the two of you. If
Sure.
you feel that person resisting and you're staying in a state of being with them and being present,
Yeah.
and not resisting their resistance.
Beautiful. So working with the resistance rather than pushing it away. Excellent. This is a great point. As therapists, we can fall into that trap of saying, well, they're resistant. I'm going to blame them. It's their fault. Maybe they don't want the change. But we've got to think, resistance. What is resistance? Our clients come in, they're ready to change. We can see that in them, and all of a sudden they're resistant. We've got to start to think, is it me doing it? Am I making them uncomfortable? Have I not got the rapport? Am I matching them in an inappropriate way? Have I said something that's offended them? We've got to think whatever's happening to them, it could be inside of us as well. Take Chris's point, it could be our own fear that is being suggested to them unconsciously. That becomes their new suggestion, and now you've got these two fearful people trying to work on something. It doesn't work quite well. Okay, let's get one more idea, if we've got one. Yes?
Persisting with the technique that just isn't aligning.
Excellent. Persisting with a technique that is not aligned to them. Okay? In the industry, there's a lot of techniques that say this is the best for smoking, this is the best for weight loss, this is the best technique for this, this and this. And they have a lot of validity, and it's a great place to start, and it's a great way to learn your craft. But what do we do when it doesn't? If your technique that you've put all this time and effort into memorizing or learning, what happens when that stops working? What are we left with? Failure, right? Now, a client might know this, might not know this, but we sure as hell do. What do we tend to fear when we failed in something? We start to feel it, right? Like, oh, damn, I just screwed up. And that gets portrayed unconsciously as well. So there's all these different mannerisms. So to collect all those together, we've got to think of rapport. We've got to think of matching and mirroring. I heard in one of the groups someone talk about matching breathing. Okay, it's an old Ericksonian trick. Got to find the right technique that works for my client. I've got to work on my fear and hopefully that I'm confident in what I'm doing. Who thinks that sounds like a lot of work? Okay, that's a lot of work trying to make rapport. It's a lot of work trying to match and mirror. Okay, there's a lot of effort getting put into something that can be a lot easier for us. Does that make sense? So in order to do this, let's break this down. Let's look at this. Language patterns. What is a language pattern? Just so we all get a group understanding. Yep.
Combining words in which a way to create hypnotic phenomena.
Excellent. So just putting words together, that'll hopefully have a hypnotic effect or create some sort of hypnotic phenomena. It's a hypnosis, it's a hypnotic lingo, if you will. It's learning to flow with language without umming and ahhing and putting ideas together. Everyone cool with that? Okay. There's two types of language patterns I want to work with. Like I said, we're not going to go through a whole list of this is the best language pattern to use. You need to put this word here and that word here because it becomes irrelevant. Okay? What is the goal of a language pattern?
Change.
Change. Yep, create change. What else?
To create a response in the client.
To create a response in a client. What's create confusion? What's our ultimate goal with a language pattern? Yep. Get rid of the conscious mind. Yeah. Put them into trance. What else does a language pattern do other than that? Regardless of what trance looks like, create confusion. What's our ultimate goal with a language pattern? Yep. Get rid of the conscious mind. Yeah. Put them into trance. What else does a language pattern do other than that? Regardless of what trance looks like, whether it's a form of confusion, an Ericksonian approach, for those who went to the Spotting Unconscious Moments seminar, could be that approach. At the end of the day, what's the only goal? Trance. Or hypnosis. So, to make this a little bit easier, for those who haven't been to a seminar before or followed this process, I just want to look at hypnosis, and there's 4 steps that regardless of what technique, what strategy you use, what type of approach, whatever the label's called that you've practiced with, all hypnosis has to go through in some form. There's 4 steps, A, B, S, U. Who's familiar with that 4-step acronym? Okay, excellent. So if you're not, if you have been, who has been hypnotized before, formally or informally? Yep, excellent. In order for this quote-unquote hypnosis to have a reaction, or for you to feel like you've been hypnotized, your hypnotist, whether they knew it or not, had to have applied, usually these 3, this 4 is just a bonus if you will, these 3 to put you into trance, okay? Your hypnotist had to get your attention. They had to bypass, I'll put the C mind, which is the conscious mind, and they had to stimulate the unconscious minds. Would everyone agree with that? Whether your client got your attention by looking in your eyes, telling you a story, getting rapport, it had to have functioned through this. In order for you to feel hypnosis, this had to have happened. They had to have bypassed your conscious mind. It's that conscious mind in you or your clients that says, hypnosis isn't real. I can't be hypnotized. This is rubbish. Who's heard that before? Yes. That's that part of the mind talking. In order for you to get some sort of hypnotic phenomena, i.e. your client's eyes closed automatically, they relaxed really deeply, maybe one of their arms lifted up by themselves, they felt confused, their breathing went shallow, went heavier. In order for that to happen, there had to be some sort of stimulation of the unconscious mind, because that's where trance exists. Does that make sense so far? This we'll look at a little bit later. This is just utilize. We'll look at that very soon. But these are the 3. So if you've been hypnotized before, this would have had to have happened in some form. Okay? So if our goal with our language pattern is to get trance, what else could we use a language pattern for? There's 2 categories. Trance, what else might we use a language pattern for?
Connection.
Connection, yep, so it might be a rapport. What else?
Change.
Yep, change. Let's call it therapeutic. You've got language patterns that induct a trance, do we not? And you also got language patterns that might create some sort of therapeutic outcome. There's only 2. So to make your language patterns easier, when we're working with clients, we need to figure out where inside of this interaction or this intervention are they? If a client is not in trance, should we use a therapy language pattern? Who would agree yes? This is where people either do this.
We could combine them.
Yeah, we definitely could combine them. Who would feel that if your client's in trance, you could then go out and do some therapy? Hands up, folks, so I can see. My eyesight's not that good. Excellent. So how do we know if a client's in trance?
If they're open to working with you.
Yep, that'll be definitely a part of it. Skin tone, yep.
Flickering of eyes.
Who's familiar with this? Probably sick of hearing about this, unconscious moments. For those who are familiar with it, what does an unconscious moment tell us? It's working. The rest of you that have been, certificates torn up, I need that it's working. So what is an unconscious moment? Skin tone coloration, flickering of the eyes.
Breathing.
So skin, breathing.
lost in thought.
Yep, so can we put that lock focus? Yeah, happy with that. There was one over here.
Eye movement.
Eye movement.
Their wrist is limp. Their arms are limp.
Yep, so it could be either limp or cataleptic. Yeah, so emotions. We saw a lot of those at the unconscious moment seminar. Clear indications. So an unconscious moment is a pure expression, write this down, is a pure expression of the unconscious mind. So if you've got your favourite language pattern, and we'll make a bigger list of these, if you've got your favourite language pattern and you get no unconscious response, what does that tell you about the language pattern? It's not for them, or there's other things you need to include in it. If you do see any of these, we'll add to this list, it means you're on the right track. So what other unconscious phenomena, unconscious moments, are we likely to see or even hear from our clients? So we get a clear list, because you're all going to play with this very soon. I want you to monitor these. What else?
You get an abreaction.
Yep, so it could be an abreaction. An abreaction is a negative reaction to trance, a very disturbing negative reaction. Okay, we'll talk about more later. That deals with more the safety side of things, but we'll look at that later, but that's a good one.
Swallow.
Yep.
Take a deep breath. You've got breathing there. They can move their body.
Yep, so posture. What else?
Confusion.
Confusion, yeah. For those that have seen clients, have you ever asked a client a seemingly ordinary question that they cannot answer? And they do this. Well, it's sort of like, it's, you know, I can feel it, but it's not, it's like, and they struggle to even answer the question. Who's had that phenomena before? That is the unconscious mind kicking in, because you've bypassed that conscious reaction, which is all your clients' excuses about why they can't quit or why they can't do this in life. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of confusion. What else?
Sighing.
Sighing, yeah. Now, the more the better we get up here, so you can monitor them. Ums and ahs, yeah, that comes into confusion.
What, laughing? We've had people, I've seen people laughing.
Yeah, hysterically. And you ask your client, what are you laughing about? And I don't know. But it comes out naturally. That's a big part of emotions. That's a big unconscious moment. What else?
Falling asleep.
Yeah, falling asleep, that could be the opposite, but we've got to touch on that anyway. It is common.
Well, I had one client open their eyes while they were in trance.
Yeah, it's natural.
And put them back into trance.
Yep. The question you should be asking is, did they actually come out?
No, they didn't.
There's a big myth around eye closure or eye opening with hypnosis, regardless of what you do, conversational, clinical, whatever. As long as you're seeing these, the eyes can be wide open. For those who've been in enough of our seminars, you've seen that dozens of times. It looks quite bizarre, but they're getting all the unconscious responses even with the eyes open. Okay? So we'll leave that up there for now, because we're going to get into our first exercise. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is break up again, swap. Sides can go into sides, not boy versus girl. Let's get into groups of 4 or 5. What do we got? What type of classical suggestions might we use with any old client? What could we say that sounds hypnotic? What do we got?
Just breathe deep.
Just breathe deeply. Who would agree? That would promote some sort of feeling that could be related to trance, whether it's relaxation, tranquil, drifting. Breathing plays a big part. Greg?
Oh, no, it's just...
Oh, agreed? Perfect. Greg agrees. Excellent. What else we got?
Listen to my voice.
Listen to my voice. Could be listen to my voice and wonder how deep you'll go into a relaxing, tranquil trance. Sounds nice. Okay, and what's our goal? Put them into trance. That's where we're directing them towards. Okay, we're giving some instructions to teach them possibly how to do that. Okay, so it's a great one. What else we got?
Repeating what they say.
Repeating what they say, so utilization. So if your client's saying, wow, I feel really relaxed, you might say, that's right, you do feel relaxed. And that you're stealing their suggestion. Yes?
Which part of you feels the most relaxed now?
Yeah, which part of you feels the most relaxed? which draws their attention to something that's already occurring. What else could we say?
Where do you relax?
Where do you relax? How do you relax? What would it feel like if you went into trance? What's the common theme being repeated here? Mm-hmm. What's the common trance theme being repeated here?
Asking a question.
You're saying go into trance, are you? Isn't that the goal of a language pattern for some sort of induction? Regardless how you say it, what's your ultimate goal? Go into trance. Whether you tell them you need to breathe or you need to feel something or experience something, your goal is to go into trance. So what does that tell you about all the fancy language you put behind it or in front of it? What is that already telling us?
It's worked.
Don't get caught up in it. Okay? Who here has spent a lot of time practicing different types of inductions for different people? Yep. What's our only goal with an induction? What is that telling us already? You could get lost in the 15, 20, 30 steps, but get the same result as a 1 or 2 step. What's more important, figuring out what's the best induction for them or what's the best induction for you to use on them? What's more important? Finding out what works for them, right?
So is it kind of like then whatever works?
Keep that attitude. Absolutely. It's whatever works for them at that time. It's not whatever's worked for client A before client B, because it's a brand new person sitting in front of you. So the whole purpose of this exercise and where we're going to go today is to say, hey, don't get confused in the I'm going to do this to you. Let's figure out what they want to do and you guide them through it. Wouldn't that make our life easier than getting caught up in this fabulous language? Now, I'm not knocking language. You have to learn it. You need to sound like a hypnotist. You need to be able to flow. But it's where hypnotists, and when I say we, I got caught into it too, I was obsessed with it. And I turned into this hypnotic language machine and then realised it wasn't having the same effect that I was promised. And I thought, well, I don't like that. It's a lot of work for getting nothing. A different type of approach had to be put forward. So we'll do the same exercise again. So there are, we can call them trance suggestions. Now I want to look at therapeutic suggestions. Again, let's go back to techniques. What does a therapy technique do? What's the ultimate goal? Whether you are NLP, you do timeline, Ericksonian, you do a lot of regressions, spotting unconscious moments, you just confuse the hell out of people. What's the goal with a therapy suggestion? Get change.
Create TBS.
Yep. You're just creating change. You're getting a client to think where the problem is and have new feelings or thoughts about it. Would we all agree with that? Okay. So I want you to make the same suggestions for a therapeutic suggestion you might suggest to a client. It could be, think of new ways to solve your problem. Is that not a therapy suggestion? Okay, so let's write these down. Let's get at least half a dozen and let's pick that apart as well. Again, talk to each other, work in a group. All right, folks, let me grab your attention. Let's see what we got. What are some classical therapeutic suggestions that we might say to a client or maybe have said to a client, whether it's worked or not? Yes?
As you start to relax,
yep.
you can feel the changes happening
yep.
day by day.
Excellent. So as you start to relax, that's almost a combination of both. You can start to feel the changes changing day by day, internally, externally. You can add all this wonderful language onto it. Okay? Beautiful. What else?
How would you feel about this change?
How would you feel about this change? Get to think internally. Yeah.
What have you tried before that's not working now?
Yep. So when they're in trance and they can't really speak, you could suggest that to them. And then they go through their life experience to find out. Very Ericksonian. Brilliant. What else?
Build on their past experiences. So
yeah.
Say they've had successes.
Excellent.
Successes.
Beautiful. Again, a very Ericksonian trick. Erickson was fond of not creating new change. He'd say, hey, if you're 50 years old sitting in front of me and you're telling me you can't quit smoking, you've had bigger issues in your life in the past you've overcome. Go to those, figure out how you did that, and let's apply it to this. Really nice approach with all the confusing the hell out of people along the way. What else?
the subconscious mind can create the changes and the resources that are needed
Yep.
to help make you live happier, more fulfilling life.
Beautiful. I won't write other than on board, but beautiful. That's brilliant. Lovely language. What's the goal with that language, with that therapeutic suggestion? What are you hoping they'll do?
Well, that one there, you're creating the TDS, so you're
Yep.
creating the subconscious to fix the change.
Yep.
And you're also creating ego boosting to create the confidence back into the person.